Jimbo,
Nick.
welcome to Hawk Talk.
Hawk Talk.
Awkward handshake?
Thanks for having me. No,
Check.
it's only awkward when you go for the knuckles, they go for the hand.
How do you feel about dap? Is that your thing?
Yeah, I do whatever. Hugs. I'm up for whatever,
What's
man.
good, bro?
Yeah.
Wait, did I go for the snap
You
too
did.
early?
I can't snap with my right hand.
Here we are at
Here we
Chicago Auto Pros.
How's
It's a
that for an
big
intro?
creator event, and I think it was a spectacular intro. Jimbo, you're the original detailer in podcast world, and I have to ask you, what does it feel like to be you?
What a question. It's awesome.
Is it?
Yeah.
That's
No,
what I thought
I
you'd
think,
say.
I think all of us in this content creation industry, I was going to say industry, but like this angle that we take on the detailing space is like such a fun angle because we still, I look at it like this. Everyone, maybe not everyone started creating content, but they started creating content around detailing because they wanted to get out of detailing.
That's
physically
a
detailing.
physically true statement, and also more than physical, it's just a true statement.
Yeah.
But I thought physically because you can love detailing and still be beat down and tired.
It's just hard. It's like, it's very hard work. It's very rewarding, but it's hard to scale. Like Jason's done an amazing job scaling this up. This is, I think, insane what he's been able to do. But
By the
it's
way,
like,
we're at this big like creator summit in Chicago.
Yeah.
I'm here on behalf of my company DIY Detail, but like I'm trying to keep the Hawk Pro Detailing channel alive.
Absolutely.
With a podcast called Hawk Talk. And Jimbo, we go way back. But yeah,
We do.
The empire that he's building with Car Supplies Warehouse and Chicago Auto Pros, I really love to see people succeed and
Totally.
make money in detailing.
Yeah, and so with content, I feel like it's cool for detailers because they still can keep their ear to the ground and still do what they like and love, because that's pretty much how 90% of us got into this. We just like cleaning our own car. But you can do it with creating content and not having to like run a big detail shop or worry about that or whatever. So that's been my thing around content too, of like, I'd rather create content than have a big shop.
I love the idea of staying as a detailer and creating content, right?
Yep.
And I think it's hard to do everything when you have a big business. So for you, what is your balance of actual detailing and then whatever else you do behind the scene? Because if people don't know your story, you started a podcast, what?
2014.
9 years ago?
Yep, 9 years ago.
When it wasn't this easy to do.
Yeah.
And you were the guy that I listened to coming up in the game, and you're at a point now where you kind of have been doing this for so long that like people coming up may not even know who you are. It's a weird thing because it's not that you're like irrelevant, but you've morphed into different things throughout the years. So like people coming up may not listen to you the way I did, but you're still in the game.
I'm still in the game. I'm very opportunistic. I realize that about myself. Like, if there's one thing I really love, it's opportunity. So through having the podcast or YouTube or whatever, additional opportunities have arisen from that. And so I've pursued some of those opportunities, and some of those opportunities have taken me out of detailing altogether, which I did for a while because I was just burnt out. I mean, I was doing 10 to 15 cars a day.
What?
By myself before, and I did that from 2008 to 2014. I would come to a parking lot just like this, and like I'd walk into this business and I'd line all the cars up right here and I'd wash all the cars, right?
Wow.
And I would do 10 to 15 cars every day, 5-6 days a week, and I did it for 6 years because I was growing a family and started having kids, and I really loved it. But doing that, and it got to a point where I had to do it, and then not too long after that I was burnt out on it, but I couldn't just quit because I had a family, and so I had to keep going. So I really worked in burnout mode for a really long time, but out of that kind of birthed the podcast and trying to find a different opportunity.
So like necessity being the mother of invention?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, there's a guy named the Daily Stoic, and he has a tattoo on his arm that says the obstacle is the way. And and when things get hard, like when I get tired, cranky, when I get depressed, whatever, I'm like, the obstacle's the way. Like, this is supposed to be happening right now. It doesn't work all the time. But I think about it.
It's very hard to muscle through that window of time, but when you do, the outside or the on the backside of that, the reward is so worth it, but it's really difficult to make it through.
So you were burned out on detailing.
Just hated it.
And you needed like somewhere else to go, like, with your energy or your hope or...
I can't. I felt really capped on income potential. And it's like, look, I live in Southern California. I'm trying to raise my family in Southern California. Like, doing $20 and $30 car washes with a $200 full detail is not going to get me to where I want to go. So I need to figure out, and while I was out detailing, I would listen to audiobooks and podcasts and all that. And so I had this idea of like, man, maybe I'll start a podcast, like as an additional stream of income. And really the only thing I knew what to talk about was detailing. So luckily there just wasn't a detailing podcast. And so I could be the auto detailing podcast. And so that's where that started. And I like to talk. And so it was no big deal to like shoot off the cuff. And I was just talking about what I would do, like, and so that birthed other opportunities.
So it started with the podcast?
Yeah, all started with the podcast.
And now you do private label consultation?
Yeah, product consulting, private label consulting. I still do detailing a little bit because I got so burnt out that I didn't want to do it at all. So I didn't do it. I built up other income streams to the point where I didn't need to detail anymore. And so I didn't for like 6 or 8 months or a year. And then I started to miss it. And that was weird for me. And so like as of the past probably year or two, I've worked my way back into it, but worked my way back into it like how I want to do it. So it's just a couple cars a week, tops. Like if I'm doing a car a day, it's too much. Because I have all these other things that I got to do. And, it's not just, it's a lot of talking with the customer and figuring out. It takes a lot of time to detail a car. And so, but I like my ear to the ground because I feel like a phony. It's like, well, I got the auto detailing podcast and then I don't even detail anymore. Like that's kind of weird.
There are other industries where I feel like that can work.
Yeah.
But I feel the same way. That's why I'm still detailing a couple times a week because I need to be in those trenches. Like my heart needs it, my soul needs it.
And there's something
and my body needs it too. It's like I don't want to get out of detailing shape and then get on here and try to sell you a bottle of ceramic gloss or something. Yeah, like I need to be using this day in and day out, troubleshooting it, because the best time for folks out there, and if you want inspiration to create content, is like when you come up on something in a detail and you're like, dang, I'm good. Or like, I just figured this out. Just shoot a quick little YouTube short or like a Facebook reel,
100%.
right?
Yep.
Gary Vee says the 3 top things right now are Facebook fan pages, YouTube shorts, and TikTok.
Okay.
Yeah, Instagram's not in the top 4 anymore.
Well, and
for him,
I think,
or top 3 anymore.
I think for DIY detail, I mean, look at what your guys' channels have done. Yeah. And I'm sure that helps sell product immensely.
It's crazy. Like I have 26,000 maybe almost on Hawk Pro. Channel is sort of on the verge of.
It's hard to keep it going.
But we're almost at 20,000 on DIY detail, and I started full time in September. So we're. Yeah, not even 7, 5, 8 months, whatever. But it's like, and that has just been from my full-time job is content creation, and I'm trying to get those. So you guys can do it out there. It's a lot of work, but you're not going to have those spontaneous ideas where like, that's a great idea, and put it on YouTube without actually detailing. Point. And I'm like, I need, even if like a lot of the videos are Ivan and I in the garage in Omaha, Nebraska, which is where we do this, I still want to be detailing in Utah so that I'm finding tricks that when I do,
100%.
I can capture the magic in a bottle right there. People can see me like I'm in those. I got my scan grip headlamp on, and maybe that's just for me, but I feel like that's where the magic comes. That's where I grew this channel, like back in the days, like just honestly in those detailing trenches, like coming up with solutions that help people out.
Totally.
It's a saturated market, but like I've watched us do how-to stuff with DIY detail, and there's still a market for that. So you don't need crazy TikTok dances. You don't need to be intimidated by all these platforms. If you just put out content, you've got a chance anyway.
Yeah.
I'm not going to guarity anything.
Why not?
Nothing's guaranteed, but
Why not?
It can be very like hard when you're putting content out, the first 20, 30 pieces, and you're not moving anything, and you're like, should I give up? Should I give up? Should they give up?
Here's the way I look at it. The time is going to pass no matter what, right? So, 2014 seems like yesterday to me.
Yeah.
And it's funny to be like, oh my gosh, that was 9 years ago. But like 9 years were going to pass whether I did the auto detailing podcast or not. Like time is going to pass. So why not just do it? Why not just work in the content? And I mean, easier said than done. I got to tell myself that too, because I got burnt out on YouTube and didn't do YouTube for a while too. And it's like, well, why didn't I? Now I lost those 6-8 months that I did nothing when I could have just kind of kept the momentum going, because the time is going to pass. And you're going to be way happier in the future that you did it than if you don't do it.
What products, brushes, tools, innovations are you excited about right now?
I think it's interesting because ever since like before SEMA this last year and even at SEMA, I was like, there's nothing. You want me to stop?
No, keep going, bro. We're going to keep it raw. I'm just going to see if you want your coffee.
I wasn't, and I got a 2 o'clock, but we're good. Plenty good.
I got a 2 o'clock. So you're going to look back at this in 2 months and be like, I wonder what was at 2 o'clock on that sunny day in Chicago.
No, I had an amazing podcast with Veros Car Care at 2 o'clock.
Oh.
That's
check it out on the
Auto Detailing Podcast. Spotify. I almost said Shopify.
Thanks for inviting me on the show again. Never invited me on his show. So no big deal. Not dwelling on it at all.
I've never had you on?
Never.
Really?
A little depressed about that, but I'm not holding grudges.
We'll make something happen.
Yeah. Anyway, so that's what you're excited about.
What was the question?
Oh,
yeah.
I figured you could use a little coffee and then things went off track.
I don't know if this is going to sound like a Debbie Downer, but I feel like ever since pre-SEMA and then at SEMA kind of solidified that, and then I'm still working through it, but the industry's in an interesting spot right now where we're coming off this like high of the ceramic train where like the F11s, all these kind of brands came onto the scene with like a ceramic all-in-one, everything spray. And we kind of, other brands rode that high for a while. And then brands tried to work in with graphene, and graphene didn't kind of do the same thing that ceramic did, and everyone was hopeful that it would, but it didn't. And so I don't know if there's, I don't feel as doom and gloom about the industry as I did around SEMA time. I was very like disheartened. I didn't feel like any products at SEMA were like awesome, like nothing crazy new. So I'm not as bah-humbug about it as I was, but there's nothing that's like I'm super hot about right now. I think we're actually going to see a little bit of I was going to say reversion, but I don't think that's a word.
Reversal.
There you go.
I got you.
I think we're going to see a little bit of a reversal back to like the basics.
What do you mean?
Car spray waxes, a lot more talk about cleaners. I just think we're going to go back to basics a little bit.
Like the trends back to the 90s with like the baggy, white jeans.
I think everything's a cycle, right?
Yeah,
Life is a cycle. So we went.
So where have we hit the high water mark then? With too much what? With
too many crazy claims. This one product will do everything, right?
Okay.
And so at first, because those claims were so different than what the market was, people were like, yeah, for sure. Like, I'll buy that one bottle if it does everything, like whatever, right? But then everyone started to copy that. And so then the market gets saturated by like, well, this product does everything and that product does everything. So what's the difference? And then people are like, well, this is real ceramic. And it's like, okay. Or like, we make it in-house. And everyone's like, okay. Like, I don't care if you make it in-house or not. Does it work or not?
Yeah.
Right? So brands have struggled with like how to differentiate their own brand, And then, so I just think the market was saturated with all these crazy claims that people just got worn down and tired of. And so that's what I think is going to usher in as the next part of this circle again, is just the basic stuff. Like, I don't trust those claims. Like, I'm just going to go back to the tried and true basics.
Interesting.
That's my thought. I could be completely wrong. But
you could be. But
we saw like ceramic, graphene, graphene didn't hit.
We're releasing 3 new coatings on May 1st. And we really believe in them.
What are the coatings?
So we have a 3-year graphene coating,
okay,
a 5-year, and an 8-year coating.
Okay.
The 5-year, very, very glossy. The 8-year, self-cleaning, gloss slickness, ton of durability there. And then the 3-year graphene is the easiest to install.
Okay.
But it's got that graphene, like you got to shake up the bottle, right? It's dark and everything, and it's super slick. And I truly believe in these. We came out with the coating originally with DIY Detail where it was like no age statement at all. And the whole idea was like, we're a DIY Detail, like we offer a great lineup of products. We have a ceramic coating, right? Here's how to use it. And everybody kept asking for age statements. And
because that's what they're used to.
That's what they're used to. And so we went back to the chemist. Like, we didn't just relabel like, hey, let's take the 3-year and just let's put this label. Like, we got unique chemistry. We pay our chemist well. Like, it was actually a really interesting discussion. It's like, let's do this the right way because the products have to match up, right? You can market the hell out of something, but the products have to be good.
Yeah.
Because like if you keep marketing and people start to feel like, oh, but that didn't really add up to what he said.
So that's
the minute that trust is breached,
Yep.
it's a really difficult thing. So like, I just spent 10 days in Omaha installing these coatings day in and day out with Ivan, and like I've installed a lot of coatings, and so has he. And these are real coatings, right? You can tell when buffing them off is not just like, it's thicker, and you have like a longer time to wait to buff them off, but you can get high spots, and then you got to dab the applicator with the coating back on and rub it off quickly. It's definitely from like DIY to pro in terms of ease. Like, it's definitely along that spectrum now. Whereas before it was just like dummy simple. Like, it will just wipe off with ease, no high spots. But like it's a more substantial coating, right? And anyway, all that to be said, I don't know how it's going to do. Right, and I'm interested. Like, is the market so suspect of anything new in ceramic? And I just hope they trust us, But that's my honest statement of like, we've really put a lot into these. I hope they do well, And I just don't know the market that well.
And it could be different because I look at, it's interesting what you guys do with your TikToks and your shorts and reels or whatever. And if you were to come at me with that idea, I would be like, I don't think that's going to work. Like, I think that's been played out. But then you guys did it, and it seems like it's working really well.
Just the brand.
Just the brand.
Like, okay, Nick, I love you, buddy, but like, good luck, man.
I don't know.
I've seen a lot of people try, and so far we've done well. And I don't know what's in the bottle, what the magic is.
Yeah.
A lot of it's Ivan, our chemistry together.
Who cares? It works.
Consistency, it's working. So
yeah. So maybe the same is true with the coatings. Like,
I believe it. I think they're gonna do well.
Yeah, I'm like,
they're legit.
in your coating, like, because I see with my customers that come in for a coating, like. But this is in my neck of the woods, a very small section of the universe. But it's like, as soon as I get over 5 years talking about a coating, I kind of lose my customers. Like,
so even they're skeptical.
Yeah,
of those claims.
like, am I going to have the car in 5 years? Yeah. How do I know? So like, when I hear you say an 8-year coating, I'm like, that'll be interesting to see how it goes,
Yeah.
But I think you got to try it. Why not? But here's the thing: you guys also have other supporting products.
Absolutely.
You're not a coating only company.
Exactly.
So you're kind of like, if my theory is correct, which it could be totally wrong, you guys already have products for that. It's perfect.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Maintenance products.
Maintenance products. So if the coatings don't work, you still have the maintenance products. It's not like you're going out on a limb with coatings only, hoping that it works.
Yeah. I'm excited, man. I think the graphene idea is very interesting to me as well.
But I think brands tried to do what they did with ceramic with the graphene, and it didn't work. But there's like, I think
it's very subtle too. It's like you don't really know.
It's too subtle.
What the graphene is doing. Like the water spot resistance is fairly subtle. And what Ivan and I have talked about is like we have our spray-on, rinse-off product, right? There's a lot of them on the market. Ours is called Quick Beads, but it has graphene in it. You got to shake it up. It's like just use Quick Beads as your drying aid. Use Quick Beads as your rinse agent, like when you're done washing your car. If you're worried about the graphene, if you don't want to install that. So anyway, this sounded like a big plug. I guess it probably was, but I'm just curious how that's gonna go because you talked about graphene being played out, and I know there's so many ceramic coatings out there, and so at least we know that we went to the drawing board and got unique chemistry. But at this creator event, there's so many people whose livelihoods are like their own brand of product line. So there's so much good stuff out there. And you sort of had this moment where you look yourself in the mirror like, why would anybody buy from me? And then it's like, you got to believe in yourself. And like getting the right products has helped us a lot.
Totally.
Because we made sure they weren't relabeled.
And that's where a lot of those like newer brands that were coming up made a really big mistake, was because they were marketers, not detailers.
Okay.
They didn't know where to go for liquid in the bottle. So they just went wherever they could Google and find and took a stock product, and they didn't know how to test it. Right?
And this is your knowledge of private labels and all the behind the scenes stuff. Okay.
So a lot of these, I don't know with F11, but like Torque Detail, Delasco,
they seem like they're really successful though.
Yeah, but they're expert marketers. They don't know crap about detailing.
Does that matter for what they're trying to do?
Yes, because what has happened is the liquid in the bottle does not match their claims. And that's where this, like, people getting over it stem from, right? You just said with DIY Detail, you guys made sure that the liquids in the bottle were good and quality and worked, and you guys knew everything about it.
But also we knew that if we didn't market it, it wouldn't matter.
Of course. So you did both.
Yeah.
But what these other companies did was they marketed the shit out of it, but they didn't worry what was in the bottle. They're just like, whatever, it's whatever.
But from the outside, it looks like they're making a lot of money. Yeah.
Some of them are, some of them aren't.
Okay.
But what they could have done is like, and that's where where I would approach these companies of like, you guys are expert marketers. Like, imagine if you had a good liquid in the bottle, like you guys would do so much better, and eventually you wouldn't have to spend so much on marketing because you'd have repeat buyers. What's happening now is you sell an 8-ounce bottle for $40. The person tries it, they go out on a limb. You know,
a lot of one-time customers.
A lot of one-time customers. So your
that acquisition cost is a big deal, right?
So if your customer acquisition cost is $40, right? So you eat the profit on the first bottle, you need that next purchase. But if your liquid doesn't hold up to the claims or you've over-marketed it, you never get that second purchase from the customer.
You just got to try dry ice.
Yeah. It's not for me.
What do you think? Tell me your thoughts.
I think it serves, I think it definitely works. I think I'm still processing it a little bit, but I think it's a very niche use case. What I do like about it is that the barrier to entry is kind of high. It's like you're probably looking like 12 to 15 grand plus.
That's substantial.
Plus,
Yeah.
like they talked about a guy that was in at 25 grand to get started. They said he paid it off in about 45 days, which I don't know. I actually like that there's a higher barrier to entry because I think it'll make it harder for people to do it, and most people won't do it because of the price, which will keep the service price high for people that are doing it. It's very tedious and monotonous, which is not my style.
More so than Steam?
Yeah, it's very tedious. So, and you got to keep dry ice on in hand at your shop. It's kind of expensive. It's like $1 a pound to do an engine. They were saying you'd probably use 6 to 8 pounds worth of dry ice. So
okay.
there's a significant investment, or not significant, I guess, depending upon your tolerance for money. And then, but actually doing the work is very tedious and dirty, messy. So it's not for me, but I think, you know, if you take care of a collection of cars or you deal a lot with like very sensitive components, I think it's a really good fit. But more to come, I guess.
What's going on with Detail Land? What do you think about our industry going forward? Here's a question. Are we a young industry?
I think, so I don't know, but what I am seeing, and it's interesting to me, I think the legacy brands have led the industry, right, for a long time. Like everyone's looked to the legacy brands for direction as to where the industry is going. But what I've seen with the legacy brands over, you know, the past 5 years or whatever, some of them excel. Turtle Wax is trying to come out with a lot of innovation, but Meguiar's is kind of sagged off on their innovation a little bit, right? And so I think the legacy brands will only take it so far, and then they start to revert and pull back to their comfort zone. Because I think when they're innovating and they're trying to like come up with new things and different things, they're very uncomfortable because it doesn't work for their corporate structure, right?
Well, so but the bigger you get and the more successful you get, the more you have to lose.
The more you have to lose.
It's easy to criticize that.
100%. You're exactly right.
Like even us, DIY Detail, like we are growing now to a point where it's like, this isn't a year ago when it was like Nick and Ivan, like,
right.
How should we do this? Like, I guess, what are YouTube shorts? We should probably do these, right? Like, and now it's like, I got to make sure everything's on message, and like, as a boat, we got to turn together because like it's really
the
easy.
ship, the more it takes to turn it.
Yeah,
right?
We had this talk the other day.
Yes,
it's just like we're growing and it's different. Like I can't even imagine being a behemoth like Meguiar's. Like
it's
the
very
risk
difficult.
aversion is probably
exactly
for a reason, right?
So any downturn in the economy or any shift in the economy, they revert back to what they've always done, which they almost have to. I mean, I don't know. That's a longer discussion. But that leaves opportunity for brands like DIY Detail to come in because you're nimble, you're agile, you can do it quick, and that's how you could take market share. So on one sense, I think we're young in that sense of like we're finally seeing the full ability of the internet and younger brands. I think consumers are trusting these legacy brands less and less. I feel like they want to find that like little niche boutique brand, and that's going to nip at the heels of the market share of these bigger legacy brands. But it's expensive to run a brand. It's expensive to grow a brand. It's expensive to market a brand. And one thing that all these legacy brands have that a lot of boutique brands don't is money. And so that's the legacy brands could just squash you with money. And that's what McGuire's does a lot of time. We'll just throw a bunch of money behind it.
What have they done with a product where they threw a lot of money behind it with a casual flick of a wrist like you just did?
I mean, you look at their blue bottle stuff, the spray ceramic, I forget what it's even called, hybrid ceramic coating.
Wax.
I don't know. Yeah, the blue bottle spray stuff, whatever. I mean, that came out of the gate, did amazing. They threw money behind it, did even more amazing. But now it's been like 3 years, 4 years. It's kind of dying off. Then they try to come out with the paint coating and the aerosol. It kind of flopped.
Did it flop?
I think it's not really selling anywhere.
Yeah.
No one's really talking about it. That's how I gauge it, you know.
But sometimes, like, I never know if what people are talking about and what's getting used in the real world that we don't see. I wonder where the disconnect is, right?
Yeah.
You ever meet these detailers, like California, Utah, wherever, and you've never heard of them. And then you realize really quickly, like, they are very, very successful.
Yeah.
And you have no idea who they are. And so that's what I wonder. What else is happening that isn't on YouTube or Instagram or TikTok, whatever, that is being very successful, but we just, our perceptions of it, you know, without the numbers.
Yeah.
I don't know. Many questions, a few answers, a good conversation in the sun on this April day in
Chicago.
2023 in Chicago, Illinois.
I don't call this Chicago, though. Does that bug you? Or does
Is this Chicagoland? I have no idea where we are.
We're in Naperville?
We're not in Naperville. That's north of Chicago. We're in Romeoville?
Romeoville? I don't know.
Wow.
It's not Chicago, though. I'm like, that's like me. I'm like 45 minutes outside at downtown LA. It'd be like me calling like LA Auto Detailing.
Wait,
like,
are you? Oh, shots fired at Jason.
No. Well, I think he has other places. No, whatever. Not shots
Jason
fired
can
at
handle
Jason.
It.
I
He
like
can handle
Jason.
it. He can
I think
handle
he's
it.
done an incredible job. I went over to his other facility. It's amazing.
Would you want to be Jason?
What Jason has built is not what I'm looking to build for myself. I don't know. Would I want to be Jason? I think what he has is really cool.
I'm so impressed by it, but I have no ambition to run
I have
an
no
empire with
that's
so many people. Like, it's not for me. I just meant that, like, everyone is so impressed in his growth. I just can't imagine all of the liability and the people who are depending on you and the long hours it must take, but God bless them. Like, I think this is not what I would ever aspire to do.
I would agree.
Yeah.
Would I want to be him? No, because this is not what my desire is, but I'm very impressed with what he's been able to build.
Absolutely. And like a ton of respect.
Yeah,
so that was not a dig at all. It was more like, would you want to grow something this big? And for me, I would rather...
But Jason did want to grow it. Did you hear him talk this morning? He always wanted to grow something big.
Yes, he always did.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he was a kid, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So I think that's cool. He's building what he wanted.
You know what I want to do? I just want to I want to create. I like being creative.
Yeah, okay.
I like having conversations.
Yep.
I love detailing. I love performing and explaining and teaching. So I feel like I'm in a good spot, you know? But there's probably like a ceiling. I'll never have like an empire.
But you don't want it.
I don't want it.
Because if you wanted it, you'd be working for that.
Yeah,
it's
like
a
good point.
Yeah, that's the way I look too. Like, well, if I wanted a big detail shop, I would build a big detail shop. That's not what I want.
What do you want?
So there's a couple important things to me, like location and time freedom is like my top two. So anything I could do to create location freedom and time freedom, I want to be able to be like, yep, I'm out. Like,
what do you mean location freedom?
Like, I want to be able to be here, away from however many miles away I am, 1,500 miles away from home, and like my income does not depend upon me being at home. I make just as much money being in Romeoville or wherever the hell we are right now as I would in Seal Beach, California.
Yeah.
Right? And I could work from here if I need to. I could jump on my computer. But my income does not, I could be on vacation in Hawaii and my income does not suffer. People don't even know I'm gone.
Jimbo, look at the camera and tell them what you want to hear. What you want them to
Subscribe
hear.
to the Auto Detailing Podcast.
That's it?
That's it.
Give him a subscribe, folks. Support this man.
Support it.
The OG.
That's
Is
it.
it weird when people call you the OG?
Yeah, it
like,
feels weird.
I'm young, man.
And then I feel like kind of dumb, like, oh man, I haven't really done anything.
You're spilling some coffee, so you are kind of dumb. Pour one out for the homies.
Pour one out for the homies.
Appreciate y'all.
See ya.
This episode of Hawk Talk is done.